Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast and welcome to Avfc Daily News. So whenever there's some news, I'll jump on and drop my thoughts. And we've got a little bit of a roundup of the last couple of days of what's been happening. It really knocks the stuffing out of my general routine on this podcast when there's an international break, because we've got so many concepts that we do each week and it's just flat when there's an international break. But we've got some stuff to talk about. We've got some decent topics, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. So we'll kick it off with like ticket news to start with, and I think Villa came under a little bit of scrutiny for the Everton match, the way it was priced in and around the 30 bracket, which, you know, it's 30 quid, but it's just, you know, it's just a bit one of them, innit? I think the reaction was generally because of what we knew was to come with the Euro pricing as well. And it's going to be an expensive part of the season for us with the League Cup and then the Europa Conference League games. But in my opinion, they've done something pretty good. I'm happy with the pricing of the Europa Conference League. They've split it into a package. So the package, for me, I'm in the bracket of Zone 3, whole 10K6. So £72.90 for 3 games against Alkmaar, Legia Warsaw and Zrinjski Mostar. So 3 games, 72 quid. I think that's decent, to be fair. I think that's a decent price range. Can't grumble. I think it's pretty fair for 3 games. And I think, yeah, you know, I think the League Cup was a little bit, not steep, but it's just like, you know what's to come with all the games, don't you? And if it was 20 quid, I think you'd be like, yeah, okay. But when it goes into that 30 bracket, you're just a bit like, come on, Villa, like, help us out a little bit. So that's the price range for the 3 games. If you can't do all 3 and you just want to do them individually, the pricing is here. So you got 25, 27, 30, 32 for wherever you are sitting. So, you know, it makes sense to buy it in the 3 because you're getting better value for money anyway. We play Legia in less than 2 weeks now, I think, away from home, and there's still no ticket news for that. We now know we have a reason for that no ticket news, and it's the fact that they are sort of under investigation for, I imagine, crowd trouble for the FC Michelin game. So there's still no news on the away tickets, and you know, you'd want to, I know a lot of people have booked hotels, have booked travel, and they want to get their tickets. So this is the reason why we would like to inform you that currently against Legia Warsaw, proceedings are underway before the Uefa disciplinary bodies regarding our last match against FC Midtjylland. The club uses all possible instruments to make all seats in the stadium during the match against Aston Villa available to fans. However, there is a risk that the decision of the UEFA bodies may limit the pool of tickets available for sale. Therefore, the club informs that the sale of tickets and packages for matches of the group stage of the UEFA Conference League will begin after receiving binding decision of the UEFA bodies. We will proceed further information on a regular basis. So, I have showed you, if any of you watched my European episode, of what to expect from Legia, and it's fireworks, it's fire, it's flares, it's hostile atmosphere. So I think if anybody watched that episode, you'll be able to see what they are all about and the hostile environment. So they are under some disciplinary action. So I imagine there may be a reduced capacity, or if it does go down more of a stringent vibe that may be held behind closed doors. So that would be a blow for everybody that's looking to get tickets for that match especially. So, you know, it's frustrating that it's so late, so delayed, but I imagine UEFA have just got to do their proceedings because this was their last game that they played in Europe. So it's not like they've had loads of time to sort of get this in place. The game was only like when we played Hibs. So so it was only like three weeks ago. So so any Villa fans that are going, I'd just be mindful of what to expect with their fans, especially as well. So another talking point was the Yuri Tielemans comments on international duty. So I'll read them first, and then I'll give my thoughts. And in the comment section, you give your thoughts. So Yuri Tielemans on international duty has said the situation is not pleasant, said Tielemans. I told the manager that I came to Villa to play. He understands me, but at the moment he prefers to play with the two midfielders from last season. He told me that soon there will be succession of games and I'll get more playing time. I don't know the answer. It doesn't help me to move forward. But what should I do? Whenever I have an opportunity, I want to take it. So far, I've started once in the Conference League. He also went on to say, I may not start at Aston Villa, but I have attended every training session so far and played in every match. I've spoken to the manager of Aston Villa about the fact that I'm not playing. He now chooses other players, but it's up to me to do my best. He said there will be opportunities to play. That explanation doesn't help me much, but I hope I can show myself a little more in the coming weeks. And I like it. I really like it. I think how many years have we had players that have played for Villa that can't be asked? Literally, can't be asked. Don't want to pay. Happy to sit on a bench and do nothing. So the fact that he's voicing it out in the media that he wants to play, maybe he shouldn't really do that. Maybe he should keep it to himself. But it seems like he's got motivation and he really wants to be on that pitch. So, I can't knock him. We do transfer rumours in the summer and we're getting some sort of like the João Felix or the Ferran Torres, and it's like, well, if they don't want to come, we don't want them. And when we had the Diaby thing, when it was us or Saudi, and fans were saying, well, if he goes to Saudi, we don't want him. It shows what his character's all about. But this shows what his character's all about. He wants to play for Aston Villa. He wants to be on the pitch. He wants to be making that difference. So fair play to him. Really, really nice to hear him talking about, wanting to play and wanting to be on the pitch. So I don't think you can knock him for that, really. Great talk from him, really. And I do think he will get opportunities because we saw against Liverpool for the last 20 minutes when Emery said he was doing something a little bit different. He wanted to see what Zaniolo was like. He wanted to see what Tielemans was like. And I think they played pretty okay, to be fair. So I do think Tielemans, if I've got to look at the last two away games, and you look at it and you say, is he better than Luiz? Is he better than Tielemans? Is he better than Kamara? Well, probably not. But can he make an impact? And I think the way we're playing away from home at the minute, 100%. He should be chomping. We should be giving options to the players like Tielemans, because at the minute, some players that are playing away from home aren't doing it. So change is needed, I think. And I would be more than happy to see Tielemans in the squad and in the team. I think there is question, which we'll probably get onto next week, about maybe tweaking the midfield a little bit and maybe doing something a little bit different. Emery in pre-season spoke about the three potentially playing together. And I do think that there might be something in the three of them playing together. So I think that is going to be, interesting to see whether the three do play together and maybe putting him in. And, we've got loads of games coming up, haven't we? We've got, a group stage of games coming up. But I think he was aiming this more like the Premier League. I think he wants to play in the Premier League. So, we've got cup games. I mean, that 1 week, we've got 3 games at home coming up. We've got Everton in the cup. Then we've got, Brighton at home? And then we've got a game at home in the Europa Conference League. So that week's pretty mad as well, to be fair. So I think that one's going to be a little bit mad. Some news which, me. I liked a certain somebody, didn't I? I really liked Coutinho. I'm loving ice lattes at the minute. I don't know why, but I'm just really liking them. Probably because it's so hot. Coutinho's gone. it just didn't work, did it? It just didn't work, and it was a very, very expensive signing not to work. And I've got to say, when he first arrived for that spell, and the United game, the Southampton game, you know me as well. I met him at Southampton, and he's such a nice guy, wonderful footballer, so talented. I imagine in training, probably the players have seen the most and the best of him that we haven't seen. What he's probably been able to do, and we say stuff like Ashley Young. What was Ashley Young doing for the defenders? What was Ashley Young doing for the youngsters? What was he bringing to the dressing room? The same can still be said about Coutinho. The same can be said about Coutinho, and I 100% believe this, that what he would have brought to Ramsey, Buendia, the youngsters that train day in, day out with Coutinho, we may not have seen the best of him, which is really sad and, frustrating. But I imagine that the players have seen the best of him at times. And I think that's probably been massive as well. That, just that the way he thinks, the way he develops, the way he trains. But it's just unfortunate that, if I had to rate how he was, I'd probably I'd have to give it a 5. But the start when he was on loan, I thought he was tremendous in some games. Some of the stuff he was doing was brilliant, and then the injuries, and then the signing, and it just didn't really work. And it's frustrating that we didn't get to see the best of him. I felt like the pace of the Premier League had passed him by. I remember the Everton game when he came on this season, and when he got the ball in a bit of space and he could just do his little jink that he does, and his vision, and he was fine. But then when he had to motor and when he had to get going, I felt the legs couldn't take him there. So yeah, a brilliant, wonderful player. A fantastic player that's played for Villa, but maybe hasn't actually done it in a Villa shirt. And some of the glimpses that we did see were really, really good. And there's no doubting his ability. But I just think we never got to see the best of him, which was a massive shame. So he leaves on loan. What does it mean for Villa? It means that the team that he's gone to are paying all of his wages, which again for FFP is brilliant. I know we keep mentioning FFP, and I know some of you get annoyed about it. But the reality is that that's what we are governed by. And I think at times, if we can do things to short-term enable us to be quite savvy, like just completely get his wages, does it benefit Villa, Coutinho leaving on loan? The team, the squad? Probably not. Probably not, because if he came on for a cameo in the Conference League and that was fine and someone could be rested, then great. But the reality is he's on an absolute wedge, so his wages now are offloaded, which means it frees up space. And in the long term, it just makes it a better picture for Villa. And I think that's something that I have really looked at in this window. And, our net spend wasn't that much. I think it was in and around £30 million, which in this day and age isn't a lot, but we managed to offset that with player sales. So I think, again, that was pretty good from the club as well. So, we're boxing clever, and I think, we're just working and being as intelligent as we possibly can. So that's my vibe on that. McGinn for Scotland, again, was absolutely brilliant. I have got some of his stats here from the game. So he played 83 minutes. He scored 1 goal and he got 1 assist. He had 97% pass accuracy, which was tremendous. Emi Martinez has played for Argentina and kept a clean sheet. No news there, is there? Because he just does it every time he plays for them. So a little bit of a mini roundup. Good bit of news, really. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of the talking points in this episode. And then we'll be back now next week with our match preview, unless there is any other news. We are linked with a new COO, not a CEO, COO. So let's just can't remember what his name was. So he's coming from Blackpool, isn't he? Ben Hatton. So Ben Hatton, formerly of Blackpool, and he's been rumoured and linked with a move to Aston Villa as well. So it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a shake-up. Maybe that's to do with the lack of information from the club and the fans. You know, for all of Perslow's critics, he was actually pretty vocal in keeping us up to date, and I did really like his little sort of quarterly updates of where we are and what we're doing and what the club are trying to do. So I quite like that from when Perslow was in. So hopefully we can sort of get that little bit more like noise from the club, and it keeps us a little bit more sort of in tune with what's going on as well. So cheers everyone for watching. Up the Villa.